Every single public institution, government offices, schools, and even shopping centers should have this device because it saves lives. A single shock from this device can increase a person's chance of survival by up to 70%. For each minute you delay a shock from this device, the person's chance of survival drops by about 10%. So what is this device and how does it work? Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Toluwani Orakowska-Falaye and welcome to Medication Africa, basic medical education and life-saving tips for Africans by Africans. This device is called an Automated External Defibrillator, or AED for short. This device is used to help people who are experiencing sudden cardiac arrest. Sudden cardiac arrest, or cardiac arrest in general, happens when the heart stops pumping. When the heart stops pumping, it means that blood can't get to the body, especially the brain, and this can quickly lead to brain damage or even death within a few minutes. So why does a heart stop pumping? There are many reasons why a person's heart can stop pumping, but one of the main reasons that a heart stops pumping and why an AED is often used is due to an arrhythmia. Arrhythmia means that the heart is not beating to its normal, regular rhythm. The heart has a rhythm that it beats to, a normal rhythm that's called the sinus rhythm. This rhythm basically allows the heart to pump as one coordinated muscle. That allows all the muscles that are in the heart to pump together as one. It also allows the heart to pump at a certain rate, and it allows the heart to relax properly in between pumps so that it can fill properly with blood. Now, when the normal rhythm of the heart is disrupted, it leads to an arrhythmia. An arrhythmia means like a bad rhythm. The bad rhythm can either be too fast, or it can be too slow, or it can be irregular. And when there's an arrhythmia in the heart, it can lead to cardiac arrest. So basically, this bad rhythm can cause the heart to stop pumping like it should. And this is where the AED comes in. The AED analyzes the rhythm of the heart and applies a shock if needed. This shock will help restore the heart to its normal rhythm so that it can pump normally as it should. Studies show that if an AED is used within the first few minutes of cardiac arrest, so around the first 3 minutes, the chances of survival go up to about 70%. And this is because the AED can quickly restore the heart's normal function to prevent brain damage and even death. But for each minute you delay the use of an AED, the chance of survival drops by 7 to 10%. So that means that in about 10 minutes, if you haven't used the AED, the person's chance of survival is pretty much zero. However, if you do proper chest compressions during CPR, this completely changes the game. Proper chest compressions without using an AED still gives a person a very good chance of survival. Some studies even say that proper chest compressions can double a person's chance of survival. The AED is very easy to use. The AED comes with voice commands and visuals to help you while you're using it.
All AEDs look pretty much the same and work the same. They have an audio-visual guide to help you. This is a simulator AED, which means it looks and works exactly like an AED, but it won't apply a real shock. Some AEDs, like this one, have the emergency number on the front. This is what the AED looks like when you open it. It has the defibrillator machine here and a pocket containing the sticky pads. The sticky pads are attached to the person's body and it analyzes their heart rhythm. On the front of the case, there are pictures that show you where to attach the pads. When you open it up, these are the actual pads. Each pad has a diagram showing where that specific pad should be placed on the body. This is the defibrillator. It has a power button shown in green here and a shock button. This is the button you press to apply the shock. The button will blink when the shock should be applied, and the AED will tell you to apply the shock. Again, there is an image showing where the pads should be placed on the person. There is also a warning light. When this light is blinking, it means that you shouldn't touch the person. So again, power, warning, shock. As soon as you get the AED, place the sticky pads on the person and turn on the machine. You can also turn on the machine first and place the pads on the person after. When you turn on the machine, the diagram will blink showing where the sticky pads should be placed. Once the pads are placed, the AED will analyze the rhythm. The AED will tell you that it is analyzing the rhythm and will instruct you not to touch the person. The warning light will come up saying that you should not touch the person while the rhythm is being analyzed.
Ustupte od pacienta. Analyzují srdeční rytmus. Ustupte od pacienta. Analyzují srdeční rytmus.
Again, do not touch the person while the rhythm is being analyzed. If the AED sees that the rhythm can be shocked, it will tell you to apply the shock. The warning light will stay on to remind you not to touch the person while the shock is being applied. Again, do not touch the person while the shock is being applied because it is very dangerous.
Výboj doporučen. Výboj aplikován.
As soon as the shock has been applied, start chest compressions immediately. The AED will tell you to start chest compressions. Remember, minimize interruptions to chest compressions. The only time you should stop chest compressions is when the AED is checking the rhythm and when a shock is being applied. And these pauses shouldn't be more than a few seconds. Some AEDs need to be charged before applying the shock. If the AED needs to be charged, it will tell you that it is charging. While it is charging, continue with chest compressions. The charging of the AED only takes a few seconds. Once the AED is fully charged and ready, it will tell you that it is charged and that you should apply the shock. Again, minimize interruptions to chest compressions. If there are two of you, one of you should get the AED while the other continues on with CPR. Once the AED is available, use it immediately but don't interrupt CPR. This means that if you're in the middle of chest compressions or rescue breaths, continue to do so while the other person turns on the machine and applies the adhesive pads. If the AED says that the rhythm isn't shockable, continue CPR as normally. The AED itself will tell you that you can't apply the shock and you should continue on with CPR. Always check the rhythm after 2 minutes of CPR because the rhythm can change. The most important takeaways when using an AED are: when available, retrieve the AED immediately and use it within the first few minutes of starting CPR, ideally within the first 3 minutes. Minimize interruptions to CPR. This means that the only time your hand should be off the person is while the AED is analyzing the rhythm and when a shock is being applied. If there are two of you, one of you should attach the pads while the other person continues on with chest compressions and rescue breathing. If the AED needs to be charged before the shock is applied, continue on with chest compressions and rescue breathing while it is charging. Do not touch the person when the shock is applied. You can be seriously injured. As soon as the shock is applied, continue on with chest compressions. The AED will tell you to do so. If the rhythm can't be shocked, the AED will tell you. Continue on with chest compressions and rescue breathing. Always check the rhythm every 2 minutes because it can change. In summary, AEDs save lives and are easy to use. They come with an audio-visual guide to help you out. Every public institution should have one because they can increase a person's chance of survival by up to 70% if used within the first few minutes of cardiac arrest, along with proper chest compressions.